Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen.
Oh, all right. What is going on this week? What's going on, everybody? This is me, your host, Danny Allen. This is episode 30, right? Yeah, episode 30 of Gettin Geeked with me, your host, Danny Allen. Oh, I wonder what's going on in the news this week. The hierarchy of the DC universe has officially changed. That's right, people. James Gunn has announced his DC slate. But make no mistake. He said, don't call this the Gunverse. Each individual filmmaker will have their own artistic interpretation of the character. It's not all going to look the same, even though it's going to share the same universe. He also confirmed the existence of DC Elseworlds. That includes The Batman, Joker Part 2, Teen Titans Go, Superman and Lois for now. And yes, we got some more movie announcements, including that Superman movie we are all looking forward to. Superman Legacy, coming out 2025. So, what do I think of this slate? This podcast is, I'm going to be talking about the slate. I'm not really going to be breaking down each individual movie or series. I'm just going to point out the general, each project that really excites me and piques my interest, which ones I don't really care about. So this is a general breakdown, but this news dropped like 2 days ago, and we've all seen the breakdown official videos. Real Rejects did their video. So, yes, the announcement happened. And the Snyderverse fans, of course, they are not happy. But really, they should be happy, because this isn't a full-blown reboot. James Gunn, after the announcement, he was all over Twitter answering questions. And he's like, yeah, we're going to keep some characters from what worked before in this new timeline. He's like, yeah, the Flash movie will reset the timeline. But then you have Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle, The Waller Show. And The Waller Show is going to have Viola Davis, the Peacemaker cast. So he's obviously keeping everything that worked in his Suicide Squad movie, in the Peacemaker series. He's keeping everything that works, right? Then he mentioned Shazam 2 was always in its little own world, so it may or may not come into play later down the line. He's leaving those roles open for Zachary Levi to come back. Gal Gadot may or may not come back as Wonder Woman. And the same goes for Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. The only thing that we know for sure, Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are definitely not coming back. I love the announcement, speaking of a Batman, of Batman and Robin, aka The Brave and the Bold, with Damian Wayne, the murderous assassin that is the son of Batman. I love that comic book story. I love the animated features that include Damian Wayne. I think it's a very ballsy choice. And also, it's a good way to differentiate that Batman world from the Batman universe. Not saying that the Batman universe won't have a Robin. I just don't think they're going to go down the Damian Wayne storyline with that universe. Now, what do I think about Damian Wayne as the first on-screen Robin in over 20 years since Chris O'Donnell in the movies? Yeah, I think it could work. Just whoever they cast, they need to know martial arts. They need to have an attitude problem. They need to look like they have an attitude problem, because Damian Wayne is an asshole. And he has like this back and forth with Nightwing. And we're going to get the Bat Family. I've been waiting for the Bat Family for years. And we're finally going to get it. And if they take inspiration from the animated universe, the New 52 universe, then, that's what's up. We're going to have Talia al Ghul, possibly, Ra's al Ghul, Deathstroke, possibly. I'm just super looking forward to the Bat Family in live action. That's what I wanted from Ben Affleck's version because he was the older Batman. So I was hoping we get some cameos, but as we all know, we didn't really get cameos. We got the Robin suit in passing, but now with Batman and Robin, there's no release date, but that means that we're gonna have an older Bruce Wayne, an older Batman. And we're also going to get a Superman around 25 years old. Now, will this Superman movie take place in the past? Or are we going to get a younger Superman with an older Batman? A lot of people want them to be around the same age, but I don't really think that's a big deal when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done. As long as the stories are told correctly and honestly, and they just take their time. James Gunn has stated they're not going to release anything until the scripts are written in fully completion. He's like, we're not going to greenlight a movie, and we're not going to start shooting a movie with only 2/3 of the script finished, and they don't know what the ending is. Like, that's not happening anymore. But I do like James Gunn's words when he's talking about each director is going to have their own artistic twist on the subject, even though they do have a plan mapped out. Those directors are still going to be able to do their thing within that confine of the plan. So it's going to be great. Now, why am I saying, I brought up the Snyderverse? Those people should be not celebrating, but they should be more accepting of this plan, because he is bringing stuff over that was created in the Snyderverse. So that makes the Snyderverse somewhat canon, even though they're changing the storyline. You still might have some characters from the Snyderverse coming over into this new timeline. And if you do see those characters from the Snyderverse, yeah, it's not going to be that exact version, but it's going to be a variant. Like, they're going the Marvel route with a different. It's not necessarily a different Earth. Just the timeline is going to shift, and you're going to get it might be the same actor, it might not be, but new history is going to get written. I'm also very excited about this Supergirl project. I don't know if they're going to keep Sasha Calle from the Flash movie, because this sounds like a totally different Supergirl that was it Woman of Tomorrow, the comic book story? She goes from planet to planet trying to avenge this girl's parents got killed or something. I haven't read the arc, but I do know somewhat what it's about, and it doesn't sound like what they have in the Flash, even though that's an alternate timeline or whatever. They are advertising this Supergirl film with the blonde hair, the classic Supergirl look. So I don't know if they're going to go with the brunette version, aka Sasha Calle. I just don't know if that's in the plans. But James Gunn is not staying shy about using what's worked. And I think he's using that open, we might be bringing Ezra back, Jason Momoa back. He's leaving that opportunity open to see how well these movies do. Because he was praising The Flash, saying, this is one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. It's just as good as The Dark Knight, if not better. Those are some bold words, which is why if that movie makes $1 billion, they might keep Ezra. Peter Safran said, Ezra's in recovery. We'll talk about it with them when they are recovered and feeling better, and we're gonna reassess what's going on after the Flash movie comes out. Now, many people on the internet interpreted that as they're definitely not bringing back Ezra. Everybody's gone. But James has stated multiple times, like, we didn't fire Gal. We didn't fire Henry. Henry never had a contract. He had the one cameo, and that was its own little side deal. But he was not fired. He didn't have a contract. So, and this new Superman we're doing doesn't fit our plan. It doesn't fit Henry Cavill. Now, Christian Harloff from The Big Thing was saying, well, if you can do all these Elseworld stories and J.J. Abrams gets a Superman movie, why can't we get a Man of Steel sequel? Well, because the Man of Steel sequel isn't profitable. They don't think it's profitable because the first Man of Steel didn't make enough money. The budget was too high, and it only made around $600 million worldwide. And it's just it's at this point in time, they don't think investing money into the Snyderverse is a good idea. So it is what it is. Leave it at that. New Superman. Everybody's going around their fan casts. But what else did they announce James Gunn stated that when it comes down to it, everything after Creature Commandos, which is this animated series with Weasel, voiced by Sean Gunn, his brother, and Rick Flag Sr. is going to be in it. Everything after Creature Commandos is canon. That's what he said. So no matter what happens, everything after Creature Commandos, that's canon. He also stated Superman Legacy is the actual first true entry to the DC cinematic universe. So I took that as whatever happens when that Superman movie comes out, everything else may or may not be canon. But when the Superman movie drops, that's the first start of the DC universe. So what does that mean for Waller, the Peacemaker spinoff? Is that coming out before or after Superman Legacy? It remains to be seen. They can go two routes with Waller. It could be a tie-up for Peacemaker, wrap up the story for Viola Davis's version of Waller, and then when Superman comes out, throw that out the window. They wrapped it up. Just like the Guardians of the Galaxy is going to wrap up after this trilogy. Or they could just be variants. And this version of Viola Davis's Waller could be a variant in the resetted timeline. And then they're just going to keep trucking along with those characters. It is a mismatched DC universe. You may or may not like that. But as far as... I think that's fine for what they want to do. They want to keep what worked and already is established from the Snyderverse movies with the cast that Snyder had cast. Like, so it's just, and some people will never get over the Snyderverse stuff, and hashtag fire James Gunn's trending all over Twitter. Those people are always going to be there because they have money and they can buy bots to run up that hashtag. I support the Snyderverse, but at some point, we're 10 years out from Man of Steel. We're 10 years deep, I should say. And sometimes you just got to cut your losses, and we need to move forward. Because I'm a Batman fan, and I want to see the Bat Family. And I don't want that universe to bog down what else is going to be able to... all these other stories that deserve to be told. And, yeah, man, Zach's over at Netflix, so go support what Zach's doing over there. We're always going to have Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have it on 4K. I have all of the Snyderverse movies on 4K, so they're always going to be there. And the fact that James Gunn is going to continue to use some of the characters that were established in that world, that he's just tipping his hat to Zack Snyder. It's like, yo, thanks, bro. We're going to keep it worked. Unfortunately, I'm going to do my version of Superman. And, you may or may not like that. And I don't even know if I like the fact that we're getting another Superman that's 25 working at the Daily Planet. I don't want to see Superman behind a desk. I want him to be Superman. So that is very concerning. Because we had like 10 seasons of Smallville, and for half of that, he was at the Daily Planet doing his thing. And, yeah. So, okay, let's talk about the Lanterns series. He announced an HBO series, which is very high profile because HBO is known for the mature content, the TVMA rating, not holding back. They're comparing this to a true detective, not necessarily a space opera like before. So they're changing the story around. We're finally getting Hal Jordan. We are getting Jon Stewart, the main core Lanterns, and they're gonna be it's like a buddy cop, Lethal Weapon. They're saying it's based on Earth, but they have to go to space. I mean, they're Green Lanterns, so I'm very interested to see what they do with the Lanterns, because it's just called Lanterns now. That means they're taking it serious. They're not Green Lanterns, they're Lanterns. Maybe we'll get the other Lanterns too. So yeah, I'm super stoked for the Lanterns on HBO. Notice it's not HBO Max, it's HBO, so it's higher of a tier, better quality. That's why HBO is HBO. We are also getting, this might upset people, we're gonna get a Paradise Island. I think that's what it's called, Paradise Island, Themyscira prequel series, Wonder Woman prequel series without Wonder Woman. We saw it in Gotham, no Superman, or no Batman. We saw it in Smallville, no Superman. And now we're seeing it for Wonder Woman. No prequel series, just like Game of Thrones, like Westeros. They're comparing it to Game of Thrones. It's going to be on HBO. That again, that means I'm assuming it's going to be TVMA. Because why would you put a DC series on HBO if it's not going to be mature for adults? You know, you got the politics of a Themyscira. You got the whole woman empowerment story angle. It's going to upset some people. I already know the politics is always upsetting somebody. I think that has a lot of promise. Maybe get some of the showrunners from Game of Thrones involved. Yeah, because there's a lot to establish as far as Themyscira, what led up to the birth of Wonder Woman. Was there a big old battle? And then like the violence. Amazon's can be pretty violent. So if it's on HBO, that's something to look forward to. So what else do we get from the slate? What am I not excited for? Listen, I know there's a lot of Swamp Thing fans out there, and you know we know James Mangold circling the project. I'm just not a Swamp Thing fan. He's just not. I watched the pilot from that CW show that got canceled or whatever. It was fine. I just don't know. Swamp Thing isn't my jam. Now, if they're using Swamp Thing as a entry point to Justice League Dark, then I will pay attention to it a little bit more. But as far as I'm concerned, Swamp Thing is definitely not at the top of my list. What else am I not looking forward to? The Booster Gold series. You know, it's like, I saw Booster Gold on Smallville. He's coming back from the future. He's trying to be a superhero using tech. You know, I just don't know if depends on who they cast and if it's R-rated or if they want to play it safe with PG-13. It could be hit or miss. So Booster Gold's kind of in the middle for me. But my main takeaways overall was Batman Brave and the Bold, Lanterns, Superman Legacy, Creature Commandos. That might be good. It's animation, but James is saying whoever's voicing the characters in the shows and the animation is going to do it in live action as well. Solidarity, everything's going to be cohesive from the games, the TV, the movies. Everything's going to be connected and canon. Well, we'll see how long that lasts, because look at Star Wars. Bunch of comic books getting written, then you get these showrunners. Oh yeah, well, I think my version's a little bit better, so we're not going to really pay attention to those comic books. No, we don't need that. What did I say months ago? We need everybody in the writer's room, get everybody on the same page, and James Gunn already said that. I got this writer, this writer, this writer. We're all collabing on this stuff. We're all going to be in the same room together, so we're all on the same page. So, yeah, overall, dude, it's going to be looking good for DC. Now, the only two release dates we have are Superman and the Batman Part 2, and that's 2025. So we might get a year, 2024, of nothing. And that could be like a reset era. Like, we're just waiting to see this whole thing play out. But, you know, this whole Creature Commandos thing, James already has the script written out. Looks like he's ready to go on this thing. It wouldn't surprise me if they're already working on the animation. So you might see Creature Commandos getting released in 2024. That's my guess. Waller, possibly 2024. It's TV, so you can get that in production a lot quicker than a film. And they're pushing Peacemaker Season 2 for this Waller series. That's another reason why I'm thinking they might get going on this Waller series. But there's nothing on this list that I absolutely hate. I would have liked a Justice League announcement, maybe, but they said this is the first half of Part 1 or Chapter 1. But it looks like they're building towards a Justice League. You got Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern. Notice that Aquaman is absent. Notice the Flash is absent and Wonder Woman's absent. They're waiting for the Flash movie to get released, and they're waiting for Aquaman 2 to get released. Because if both those movies make $1 billion, they'll keep the actors and just change the timeline up. like easily. And James has stated, yeah, Jason Momoa is very enthusiastic, but he's not going to play two characters in the DC universe. So he's going to have to wrap up Aquaman before he plays any other character in the DC universe. So whether that's wrapping up after Aquaman 2 or Aquaman 3, if Aquaman 2 is successful, they might greenlight Aquaman 3. Because Peter Safran said Jason's always envisioned this Aquaman thing as a trilogy. So don't be surprised, man, if Aquaman 2 makes a Billy. If it makes a Billy, they'll make that last Aquaman 3. And then who knows? He might play some other character later down the line. But I'm definitely I don't expect no logo. Don't expect a Lobo announcement anytime soon. Especially if Aquaman 2 is successful. But yeah, I know everybody wanted half of everybody wanted a fresh reboot, clean slate. I wanted that just so it's more cohesive and you're shutting a door and you're opening up another one. But now it's not really what we're getting. Like I said, he's taking what works. So yeah, those movies still count technically this year. Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, The Flash. Those may or may not be successful. Now that we know we're getting a soft reboot, the general audience may not want to go and support it in the theaters. That remains to be seen. Kind of Slate related, they talked about Batgirl and Peter Safran. They confirmed it. That movie's not releasable. They're like, well, what's going on? Now that you guys are in charge of DC Studios, what are the chances of that Batgirl getting released? And they're like, listen, that movie would have hurt DC. It would have hurt the cast and crew involved. It wasn't releasable. And they put the period on there. Like, it's not happening. So, move on, guys, from the Batgirl movie that didn't happen. We'll get a new Batgirl in this Bat family in The Brave and the Bold. I'm sure of it. If you're going to have Damian Wayne, you can bet money on it. You'll have Batgirl, Nightwing, possibly a Tim Drake, maybe. Who knows? But yes, what do you guys think about this DC slate? I'm excited for it. I'm not really excited that we have to wait for 2025. That's another 2 years. But that's the business, man. It takes 2 years to make movies. I just wish they would have maybe waited on this announcement until after these movies came out, like Shazam 2, The Flash, Aquaman 2. Because overall, James Gunn really didn't need to announce this slate right now. He could have waited till Comic-Con and got the same kind of buzz and a reaction. Because the fact of the matter is, we do have to wait until these movies come out. We didn't get any cast announcements, which is fine. He's not going to cast nobody until the scripts are finished. This is all verifiable on Twitter. And I like the fact that he's so responsive to the fans. So there is no confusion. And that's something DC needs. Because their PR was shit these last 10 years. And that's why we're getting soft rebooted. Because Zack Snyder or Jeff Johns, Walter Hamada, whoever was involved with, whether it's the Snyderverse or the Whedonverse or whatever you want to say, the last regime, they were very silent. And they let fans run up the trends on Twitter. They let the press write their puff pieces about whatever they wanted about the DC movies, or they let those things boil, and they had it cooking, and it just ramped up, and now the stove's on fire, and now James Gunn has to put out the fire and try to fix this beast of a DC universe. And I've been saying that we could have gotten a Justice League movie to restart everything from scratch, but the fact that we're not even getting a Justice League on the slate, and we do have a diverse list of projects in this slate that encompass the overall DC universe. It's not just the Justice League section of the DC universe. We're getting an Authority movie. The Authority, I don't know much about it. People are comparing it to The Boys. And they're saying it's got to be R-rated because the comic books are super violent. And that's supposed to lead into Superman or whatever. So, and then Creature Commandos. It's just a lot of different aspects of the DC universe. The Amazons, the Lanterns, the Bat family, Superman territory. Like, everything's getting covered. So don't be surprised if that back half of Chapter 2 or Chapter 1, don't be surprised if you do get a Justice League announcement. And that's going to be depending on if they're recasting Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and The Flash. And I've stated numerous times, if they want a different Flash, all they have to do is introduce Wally West, and you're good to go. But even then, if you wanted to bring back a Barry Allen, you could recast him, or them. You could keep them. Ezra Miller could be super healthy in a year. Who knows? We don't know. That's why they're leaving it open. Yeah, comment below what you think about this slate. Nothing else is coming to mind. Like I said, you guys have watched plenty of breakdown videos by now. I'm just giving my overall thoughts on what I think about this thing. I think there's a great balance between TV and film. I think it's interesting that Lanterns is going to be an HBO series and not a movie, which means I think it's going to be R-rated because, like I said, you can do TVMA on HBO, but if you're putting an R-rated Green Lantern movie in the theaters, that might not be that's a harder sell. You might have to keep the budget a lot lower. But yes. What else we got going on today? We got news. So that's the ending of the DC chapter for this podcast. Let me know what you guys think about the slate in the comments section. We got some news about King of the Hill on Hulu is getting a revival. How many years has it been from King of the Hill? And seeing the political landscape that we're in today, it's going to be super interesting to see where the King of the Hill cast lands. What are they doing now in the present day? I'm super stoked for King of the Hill. I don't know. I used to watch it all the time. I used to watch it more than The Simpsons. And the whole cast is coming back. So, and Mike Judge he's always killing it. He's killing it with Beavis and Butthead. And they brought that into the present day perfectly with new modern day setting episodes. And then sometimes they were back in the 90s. It's just a really good time for animation. What do you guys think about the news? King of the Hill coming back. We had something else in the news, like a movie or something. I can't remember. Oh yeah, Bad Boys. Bad Boys is coming back. Oh shit. Okay, so the Batgirl directors got booted from Batgirl, scrapped that $90 million movie. And now they're right back to where they were with Bad Boys 4. I love Bad Boys. One of my favorite cop movies, like Buddy Cop. Bad Boys is the gold standard. Then you got Rush Hour right underneath it. Then you got, well, if you're my age, 28, you might agree with me. If you're a little older than me, you might think Lethal Weapon's on top or 48 Hours is on top, which is all valid. But when it comes to Bad Boys, I didn't mind the last one. It was fine. It wasn't gritty like the first two, and I appreciate the fact that they are coming back for Bad Boys 4. I'm excited for Bad Boys, not for those directors, just because I like Bad Boys. I like Martin Lawrence coming back. Will Smith, he was in the news all year with this Oscar slap thing. Will people go see it? I will go see it. Like I said, man, forgiveness in Hollywood, it's very short-lived, unless you're doing something real bad. So if you're if you're like a Will Smith and you slap Chris Rock at the Oscars, it's been a year and he's already doing Bad Boys 4 again. He's already got like Emancipation on Apple Plus. Like he's already acting again. So clearly people are moving on from Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. So some people will support Bad Boys and some people won't support Bad Boys. I think Bad Boys fans, they're going to support no matter what. So I don't know if they're going to wrap up the franchise with this movie or if they want to do a 5 and 6. I'm just very curious to see where they take things. I think they need to ramp up the violence. They need to ramp up the camaraderie. I don't know, because the last one was like a reintroduction to the characters. It's been some time, but now they could just be themselves and do their thing. yeah, I'm just curious to see what they do with it. So what do you guys think about this Bad Boys news? Are you going to watch it? Let me know in the comments section. And yeah, man, that's been episode 30. 30 episodes of Getting Geeked. I love doing this podcast. We are growing rapidly on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, all those places. I really appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, turn on your notifications. Let me know what you guys think about the DC Slate. I'm sure I'm missing some points here, but the main overall aspect of this DC Slate is we now have some sort of a plan, a soft reboot, and we're playing it loosey-goose, man. If The Flash works, it works. We'll keep Ezra. If Aquaman 2 works, we'll keep Jason. If not, it is what it is. We'll get new actors. But James Gunn has planned this thing to where you don't really need those people right now. We're focusing on other characters. They got a Superman movie to make, and they have a Bat Family to introduce to all of us. So yeah, catch me on TikTok making a bunch of fan cast videos, some artwork. I'm going to be breaking everything down on there. Let's do it. Another week down. Shout out James Gunn, DC Studios. Let's go. It's been episode 30. Go fuck yourselves.
Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Gary Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Gary Allen.